So yeah, I'm Steve Hoyt. I serve as executive director for the Seneca Waterways Council, which is really Rochester and the Finger Lakes region. You know, I grew up in scouting in New Hampshire. I joined when I was in second grade. That's when you could join back then. And I'm getting old. But with that, I never left. You know, I just kind of went through the program, was on camp staff like you did, in our camps in New Hampshire. And then as soon as my last year of college, I got recruited to come full time to work for the Scouts and started in Vermont and kind of worked around the Northeast. And I've been in Rochester now about 14 years.
Very cool. Very cool.
Hello, I'm Eric Faulkman. I've been in Scouts. I'm an Eagle Scout from Long Island. You can catch that accent every so often. And then when I came up here and my son was old enough and he got into Cub Scouts, I became the Cub Master, and then I just kept going, and I'm still going. I have served as camp staff for shooting sports at a few camps, mainly Babcock Covey, and am now active as the council shooting sports chairperson.
Very cool. Very cool. There was a conversation, right? I can't remember who reached out, but I think we've been in conversation, the firing pin and Seneca Waterways for, several years back.
And we've done a couple projects.
Yeah. We've supported, you do the Hazelton Sporting Clays shoot. Every year.
Largest fundraisers.
That's super fun time. We'll plug that in a little bit here. But so I guess what made sense, like the reason, I always try to support Scouts whenever I can. And for me, that's because the firing pin exists, I think in a large part due to scouting. That was where I was first shooting a gun, and that's what got me hooked on marksmanship and just, firearms in general. And I think that's where I got my first taste of business. My first year working at Scout Camp, I ran the trading post. So I was like a clerk at the trading post, and I was selling stuff, and my council at the time, they were like, look, this is what we bought for the trading post, and we're not buying anything else. And I was like, but kids want like other stuff, like pocket knives or just whatever, different kinds of candy. And they were like, okay, but this is what we bought. So I was like, well, if I buy stuff with my money, could I like have another little ledger? And they were like, whatever, we don't care. Like, so that was kind of my little first foray into business, I think. And yeah, obviously, I was in scouting from the time I was in, I think first grade was when I could join in Tigers. Yeah. So I've been in my whole life basically. And I think it really helped develop me into a leader. So I think it's a super important movement. I've, again, a little biased, I guess, because I've been involved pretty much my whole life up until, basically recently. But so I'm super excited to have you guys on.
I'm glad to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate hearing about scouting.
So we've got a little, Tyler's going to do some Chef Ramsay, some cooking. We sell, I guess this is a little shameless plug that we sell some of this kind of stuff too here. Yeah.
It's like camping.
Got a little fettuccine Alfredo with your friends. Yeah. So yeah, I guess let's talk about, we briefly kind of touched on how we got here. But I guess like, what does a scout executive do? What do you do? Like you went pro, like you get paid to be a scout. Like how does that work? Yeah, I got paid when I worked at summer camp. It was like $200 a week. So like,
so I quickly figured out when you get paid, you don't get to do the fun things nearly as much as you used to. It's like you're talking about insurance and business and other stuff, and the canoeing and all the other fun things. It's kind of
right.
Somebody else gets to do all that kind of stuff. So, but I think we're pretty blessed on the Rochester staff, and we've got about almost 30 employees working for the council now, and they do a variety of things. So everything from running program, because we have a team that does that. There's a 3-person team full time year round that does that. Probably about 8 people now that work field operations, and they're really the advisors. They're coaching units and helping units as they transition Cub Masters or Scout Masters.
Yeah.
They got a development team that runs the events, like we talked about Sporting Clays.
Yeah.
You got support staff that who enters applications for kids and registration.
Sure.
And processes advancement records and camping records and all that kind of stuff. So that, and then you get the camp, and then you get rangers and the sport people there who just get the facility ready.
Right.
And everything from plowing the roads in the winter to putting new roofs on buildings and just maintenance and general operations. So it's a huge operation. So just our Rochester Council alone, and that's a budget of about $4.5 million.
Wow.
Just to help make that go and help make sure that organization is there to support those kids who just, they go out to camp, they go tenting, have a great time and great experiences. But behind the scenes, it's about $4.5 million operation just to make sure they can have that experience.
Wow.
Well put. Like, it's a good program. You know what I mean? It's deserved.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
Scouting is super important.
So another question, Ty, actually you had this question. I know in recent years, it's actually not Boy Scouts anymore, right? Is it?
Yeah, well, it's still Boy Scouts of America, right? It's still the official title. But the programs, we don't use Boy Scouts for what was formerly the Boy Scout program.
Yeah.
We all knew as growing up as kids. So going in, I'll get my calendar dates right, 2019, we started opening up to girls being in the program. So actually, I think it was fall of 2018. Eric can correct me on that one, but I believe Cub Scouting rolled out for girls in fall of 2018. And then that following February of 2019, girls could join Scouts, or what was formerly Boy Scouts. We just call it Scouts BSA or Scouts. As you guys already pointed out, venturing already existed, and that was already co-ed, which was great for us actually, because that was a great predecessor for us to help, facilities, infrastructure, and getting things ready. And then Rochester, ironically, had piloted the exploring program for the entire country. It's one of 4 cities that did that.
That's cool.
So we already had a large program. So you think of fire explorers, or police cadets, or usually all explorers, but we're doing engineering, we're doing photography, we're doing a lot of other things in that program. So we already had a pretty good blend of co-ed kids in the organization. So it was the younger groups that are coming on board. We've now had 30-something girls work their way up to Eagle Scout.
That's awesome.
In Rochester alone.
Yeah.
And so it's been a great experience, and it's a great way to introduce leadership skills and character development to a group of kids that wouldn't get us on the way.
I love it.
Absolutely.
I love it. Yeah.